Hi, my name's Hannah, and this is Assessment 1 of EUB420. I'll be focusing on students in rural and remote communities like Hughenden in northwest Queensland as an example. Hughenden has a history of sheep and cattle grazing and more recently a growing renewable energy sector. I'll be looking at the problem of low STEM engagement for rural and remote students and how current curriculum often feels disconnected from their future pathways. As a teacher here at Hughenden State School, I see that many of our students have low engagement with science. Research shows that rural and remote students, like ours, often find science boring or irrelevant and struggle to see how it helps them make sense of their world. This perception contributes to lower achievement in science, as the PISA 2018 report shows that students in remote schools are, on average, about 1.5 to 2 years behind their metropolitan counterparts in science. This lack of engagement also affects future pathways. Fewer students in rural areas choose senior science subjects or consider STEM-related careers. When students can't see real-world applications, their interest and motivation in STEM decline. Lyons and Quinn found that many rural students view science as disconnected from their daily lives, while Waters and Deesman highlight that the curriculum often does not align with local industry context. In our case, that means that students are learning science concepts without seeing how they connect to the renewable energy projects or agricultural technologies in our own community. This challenge also relates to policy priorities. The Queensland Department of Education's strategic plan of 2025 to 2029 emphasises student engagement, building a capable workforce, and creating strong regional pathways into work and further study. Currently, low science engagement and the absence of contextual learning experiences make these policy goals harder to achieve for real students. To understand the root causes of this issue, we can look at a simple chain of whys. First, our students disengage because science concepts often feel abstract and disconnected from the real world applications. Without authentic contextualization or links to industry, students struggle to see the purpose of STEM learning. So, why does this happen? One reason is that students rarely see real world local industry examples in their lessons. And why is that? Teachers in rural schools often have limited opportunities for industry engagement or professional development to update their knowledge. This makes it challenging to deliver contextualized content. Waters et al. Notes that school connections with local industry are often informal and short term, and that these partnerships frequently rely on personal relationships among stakeholders, which can be hard to sustain. This issue directly affects both how science is taught and how it is learned in rural classrooms. Teaching implications are that lessons often default to theory heavy textbook approaches because teachers have limited industry exposure and access to authentic local examples. Without strong, stable partnerships, teachers rely on generic resources that don't reflect local industries, which makes project-based or cross-curricular learning harder to implement. For learning implications, without contextualizations, misconceptions form more easily, motivation drops, and STEM self-confidence declines, which reduces students' beliefs that they can pursue or succeed in STEM careers. Over time, this limits readiness for senior STEM subjects and post-school pathways. To address the low science engagement in Hughenden, I propose that we partner with local renewable energy companies such as WinLab, integrating industry professionals into the curriculum for years 9 to 10 science units, which can provide authentic hands-on learning experiences. WinLab has shown a strong commitment to collaborating with local communities to build sustainable relationships by listening to their needs, whether that's jobs, training, or infrastructure improvement. This community-focused approach makes them an ideal partner to help bridge the gap between theory and relevant real-world applications. To increase engagement, the problem would begin with excursions to WinLab's wind and solar farms, giving students first-hand exposure to renewable energy infrastructure and the STEM careers behind it. After these visits, students would participate in project-based learning challenges, such as designing and testing more efficient wind turbine models, applying science skills in a hands-on competitive way. These activities reflect learning through entrepreneurship because students create tangible solutions with potential real-world value, which fosters creativity, teamwork, and practical problem solving. Over the next 2 to 3 years, this initiative would grow to include industry-linked internships, in this entrepreneurial aspect, as it creates economic and practical value for both industries and students. For students, it builds science confidence, real world skills, and pathways into local renewable energy careers. And for industry, it develops a skilled local talent pipeline and strengthens community relationships, ensuring long term sustainability of regional projects. This approach aligns with the Queensland Government's priorities to grow regional economies and businesses, build a skilled workforce, and support students to pursue postgraduate pathways. By combining learning through entrepreneurship with entrepreneurial value creation, this innovation not only engages students in science, but also contributes to the long-term economic resilience of the Hughenden community. Thank you for listening to my proposal, and here are the references for that one. Cool, thank you.